Welcome to the Interact Show. I'm your host, Nasir, and this is New York City's Dapper Trap DJ, Sir Ramon. Give him some love, please.
What's up?
Now, when it comes to this dating thing, I like to think I'm what they call an experienced dater. I've dated women, I've dated men, even people who found themselves born in the wrong body and later transitioned. Come to think of it, me and Kris Jenner have a lot more in common than I thought. Now, we're all familiar with the repetitive statistics that paint the picture of the little black kid that grew up without examples of positive relationships in their life, so I'll spare you that narrative. Even though I didn't have the traditional blueprint from my parents of how to build and maintain a healthy relationship, I picked up some things along the way. Now, I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I do think that it's time that we start talking to each other about what it means to be in and nurture healthy relationships. It's important in all of the relationships you have today, but we're going to talk specifically about the ones that you have with Bay. Now, Ramon, we've been around, you know what I mean? We got stories, we got experiences.
Yeah.
What has been, some of the things that you've seen and or witnessed that have been like the worst about millennial dating? Or just your personal experience in dating?
I hate dating online, so I don't do the apps and all that shit.
What? I thought you had like a super profile on one of those apps.
You tripping.
Okay.
No. I don't do that because I'm older, so like I'm used to like going out and meeting chicks out when I'm, bars and stuff like that, or just out. And when it's an app, people can portray themselves as being something super perfect, and then when you see them, it's a dub. So I just don't do the apps and stuff like that. I'm a Christian. I don't date either. I keep it to myself.
Wait, you say you Christian mingle?
I'm a Christian man. I don't do any of that dating stuff. I keep to myself.
Ramon.
And all that stuff. What?
I done seen you out doing a couple things.
At church, Bible study, bro.
What do you feel? What do you think about the whole idea that if your relationship isn't represented on social media, then it doesn't exist?
I don't. So, personal experience. I've dated someone who was a public figure, and because of her status, I couldn't. For my protection of my privacy and hers, we didn't post about each other online because it would have led to who she dating, shade room, all that stuff like that. So from that relationship on, I don't post about my stuff online, and whoever I date has to be okay with that. If I get married eventually, then yeah, you'll see a little something, but until then, I'm not just posting any boo on the gram, so no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've had, in preparation for today's episode, I've been talking to a bunch of people and got into a conversation about pursuing love and relationships and also putting the same amount of time and energy into your career. And those two things not necessarily being able to coexist. What's your opinion on that?
You got to learn balance. So I'm a workaholic. So what happens with me is I meet girls and we start dating. But my job and my craft is number one. So that's who I'm dating first. Whoever comes in is joining that relationship. And what happens is you got to learn balance between work and pleasure. So like, if you really want to be with somebody, you'll make time for them. You know what I'm saying? And I do stuff, even if it's the slightest, just like a text to let you know I'm present.
Think about you.
You know what I'm saying?
Sending those 13 good morning texts all at the same time?
Nah, you good.
Now, I've always prescribed to the whole I need to focus on my career and I don't have time for a relationship idea. That was until I had a conversation with a friend of mine that made me see that I didn't really have to deprive myself of love to have real success. Now, I have love, and I've got all these questions about how other couples navigate their relationships. So, what better way than to invite people to the show and talk about it? We spend way too much time communicating through screens and not enough time listening to each other face to face. Learning to actually love the good, the bad, and work through the ugly. And right after this commercial break, we'll get into it. So make sure you come back to Interact.
Oh, hey, you must be Andrew. My name is Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
Let's start off with age. How old are you?
Me, I'm 22. 22.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm 22 too.
You said 22 twice.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any hobbies?
I like moving my chest. My chest up and down. You know.
Oh, so you got muscles.
I'm talking about breathing. You see my chest? You see my chest? You see? But look, what do you look for in a man? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Someone that can make it real nasty in the sheets.
Shit, that's me. I can squeeze the ketchup, make the sheets all sticky and shit.
Okay, I think we're done. Yeah.
You don't like me?
Yeah, we're done.
So one of the toughest realities of dating and relationships is that it forces us to share. Whether that be time, feelings, money, and space, some things just have to be negotiated. Our habits and perceptions are called into question, and if you pay close attention, you'll learn a lot about yourself. I've definitely learned a lot about myself and my relationship, and I've invited today's panelists to talk more about what they've been learning and what you've been going through. So first, introducing Daniel, Calderon or Calderon?
Calderon.
Calderon.
Yeah.
All right, so now Daniel's an entrepreneur. He's an influencer. You have a new job that maybe you want to share a little bit more about that later on, but introducing Daniel, show him some love. Now, Daniel's other half, if you feel comfortable with saying that,
absolutely.
Justin is a performing artist, and I actually recently just came to your private screening for your film, Unapologetic Me, which happened to be one of the most viscerally emotional movies or films that I've ever watched. So please give it up for Justin, because
Thank you so much.
Now, I'll leave you for last. Introducing next up is photographer Bry Newton, so please show her some love. She's willing to show her. And her other half is a dancer, a performing artist, a photographer in some situations, an editor. He does all of these things, so I guess you would call him a Renaissance man, Leroy Barnes. Now I want to start this conversation off with figuring out, or rather sharing with the audience, how did you all meet? Whatever couple wants to go first, you can let me know. You want to go? All right, Leroy, go ahead.
So we met in college, right? I was a super senior. We were dancing. We were dancing in a thesis together. Our friend Isaiah had a hip hop dance piece, and we had a duet section. And yeah, I'm silly, she's silly. You know,
It was just meant to be.
yeah, it just happened like that.
We were just really good friends, and then it, just kept kind of hanging out, and then it turned into what it did. So.
Okay, Netflix and chilling.
Yeah,
All right, what about you guys?
We met 2 years ago. We lived in the same building, but on opposite sides.
Okay.
So the building has a common space where there's a pool and grills and stuff, and so in Jersey.
Friend life.
Continue. I'm not even going to continue.
So we met there at the pool, but that summer, which is 2 years ago, nothing happened. And because the building's so large, we didn't see each other for a whole nother year. And so a year later, in the same spot, we had a it was a pretty deep conversation. Daniel was very engaged, and I was very into grad school. But I think that moment really triggered.
To listen.
Yeah, but it really triggered our relationship again, because I said, oh, who's this guy? All right, he's very, very attractive. But yeah, right, the pool just seemed to be a magic spot for us, and it kind of hit it off from there.
Okay, so something important that you mentioned when you talked about your introduction to each other and building that relationship was friendship. And I want to know, and I'd rather ask the question of what do you believe has been the most important, foundational thing? Maybe it is friendship for you all. I don't know what it may be for you, but what is the most important foundational thing about your relationship, or rather having established your relationship?
I don't know. I feel like when Bry and I met, I was sort of in a transient space. And I feel like in moments like, you're about to graduate from school, about to dive into the world.
Did you say you about to die? I'm like, oh my God. You have some terminal illness.
No. Just a lot of things floating. And in those times, you want someone to confide in and someone you feel like you can trust. And she was those things, just someone to really be able to talk to. And just just let stuff out. I think that's important in those times, where we are now, growing up, out of high school, out of college, you know what I'm saying? You value things differently. So it was that, I could talk to her about anything. I could be with her anywhere and be comfortable. Yeah.
Another couple.
Hey, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So what do you believe has been the most important thing in the beginning stages of you all becoming a couple? What were the most important things that you feel like helped you to get there? So for them, or like Bry mentioned, the friendship really just like developed and became so strong that she felt like she could take that further, or that it was something that was meant to be a little bit more than it originally turned out to be. So what was that, that thing that you were like, wow, like this is really great. Maybe he can be someone more than who I met in the pool.
Yeah, for me it was transparency and honesty about like everything. Like if I'm not able to show my true self, then we can't move forward. We'll be able to show my true self and you be able to accept that. We can't move forward, because I think I've never been a person to be in love with love or be in love with a relationship, because I've had terrible relationships in the past. And I never wanted to have another one. I'm all good by myself, right?
Amen.
So I think I actually enjoy relationships. I guess I'm a relationship person. One of my best friends said, like, he was congratulating me for taking a year off of a relationship, because I really got to understand who I am. And when I was able to be transparent about who I am and what I need and who I am going to become, and if that person is going to be a lifer or not, like literally ask those questions, like, hey, this is my life, this is what this looks like, are you cool with that? And you may say yes now, but let's revisit this conversation because like wasting time, I think energy and time is so important to me, because I don't have a lot of it. So every single time that I invest in something, I want to make sure it's worth it.
Okay.
That's super pragmatic.
So you like that at the pool?
No,
He's like, oh really?
no, not at the pool, but like,
Daniel, he was very honest, though. He was
one of the
very
things that you just mentioned that I personally find to be the hardest thing, and you can share what you find to be the hardest thing about, most challenging thing about being in a relationship, is the transparency and honesty. I think at certain points in your life, and some people never get there, but at certain points in your life, you feel as though you don't even know yourself. You don't know what things are great about you. You don't know what things are bad. You don't know what your strengths. You don't know what the challenges are. So when you enter a relationship and now you're trying to meet this person in the middle, you can't even really be transparent and honest with them, because you haven't been transparent and honest with yourself. And I think in the beginning stages of me trying to be in relationships in my early life, it was, oh yeah, I just want to be with somebody. Like I'm not thinking about, can I be transparent and honest? Who am I? Can I really show them this? Can I lay this way and not feel awkward? You know what I mean? So what has been one of the challenges that you've experienced in, maybe not the relationship you're currently in, but just in relationships in general?
I would say in relationships in general, it's like always being able to have that space to be you still, without the relationship, even while you're in it.
Wait, that's been a challenge?
That had been a challenge, like definitely before. And so like that's like important to me, and I feel like that was not challenging in this relationship. Like that was like one of the things that like actually made it easy to like have this like turn into more than a friendship, because it was like I was not even in the headspace to kind of be like on that. Like I wanted to be myself, I wanted to figure that out, and it was like being able to have that space is really important. I think that's been a challenge, and I know like I've like talked to a lot of people, like a lot of my friends have like had a similar challenge. Like they'll really be into the relationship, but it's like maybe not always having the space to like breathe within it. Challenge, like I don't know, like communication is always challenging, I think. Like even when you're totally honest, like it's like honesty can bring with it some difficulties when you care about somebody and their feelings, but it's really important, and I don't know. I think it's like a lifelong challenge for any relationship, not even like an intimate relationship, but yeah.
How hard is it, or has it ever been, because it may not have been, for you to say sorry?
I think it's simpler for me than Daniel. It's a waste of time to just not admit when I'm wrong. Like it's, just trying to hold up that guard that still tries to have ownership over something that can be over with. I was wrong, this is what I did, I apologize, I'm sorry. and let's go eat some chicken or something. Let's go do something that will build us. Because if either one of us chooses to live in that headspace, then that's layers and that's of an onion that's just not peeled. And it'll stay that way, and you'll be in your relationship the next day, and then something else could happen. A problem could happen any day. But if you don't deal with it, if you hold it back, then that's just multiplying, and then someone eventually is going to explode, and then you won't know who was responsible for what.
Right. And for the record, I think. No, for the record, I think I have no problem with saying I'm sorry, but like most times I am right, so it kind of like just works out.
I just want to piggyback off of what you're saying and ask a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
So you said that you feel like it's a waste of time for you to even stall the sorry. Now, if you plan on being with this, I don't know how long have you been together?
It's been almost a year.
Okay, almost a year together. I'm pretty sure either of you have done multiple things at this point that you've had to apologize for or come to terms with that you were wrong about. Does it ever become too much in the sense of, okay, well, I've heard sorry before. I've heard this last time or whatever. This is the 10th time you said it. Do you ever get tired of hearing the sorry, or does the sorry not become invaluable at any point?
No, we're imperfect people. No one's going to do and say the right thing all the time. So if I know that it's coming from an empathetic place, the apology, then of course I accept it with open arms. And then sometimes people apologize and they don't really know what's bothering you. And that's okay too, because I'm not always going to think like him, and I might be upset, and I might be communicating all kinds of anger, and he's just like, I was just making breakfast. I don't understand why you're mad. So we have to make sure, one, we communicate, like we were discussing earlier, but then also, like when that person's like doing their best for you in whatever way they can, and also trying to speak your language, we have to give them definitely an applause for that. And then move forward, figure out how to move forward together and compromise.
I think and I think it's situational too, right? Because it's like, what are you apologizing for? Is it something that was willful? And is it a conversation that was, okay, we set clear boundaries as to this should not happen again? So sometimes sorry doesn't cut it, right? You have to ask other clarifying question as to why did that happen. Maybe there is some other underlying issue where this behavior continues, and I think that's important, like getting to the bottom of the issue versus saying sorry to pacify things.
Absolutely.
So I think it's like not about sorry, like I don't care about sorries as much. I care about like how do we solve whatever the issue is.
Wow. Yeah. Looking at these two couples sitting up here, I'm thinking about, and I don't want to identify you beyond what you've identified yourself as. Would you feel comfortable saying that you're a gay couple?
Yeah.
All right, and you'll be comfortable saying that you're a heterosexual, biracial couple?
Yeah.
All right. Two very distinct points of the spectrum that experience their own challenges for what they are. And I would like you to speak to the audience about what those challenges are, based on just those two specific identities that are a part of your relationship, and how you navigate those together.
Well, with our relationship, being an interracial relationship, obviously we deal with racial biases or whatever, and it's weird. I was having a conversation with Bry about this like a month ago. We moved back to the city from Maine, and Maine is predominantly a white state. And I'd be with Bry like at a sandwich shop, and it's like a white couple in front of us. They turn around, they see me, they perplexed. They have no clue what to think about the situation. Like what I'm saying, like what's up?
But still, in 2018, like today,
yeah.
Perplexed.
Bamboozled, hoodwinked. Like all types, there's all types of emotions.
Don't be advertising movies out here.
So it's a polarity, right? Because in Maine, Bry takes a lot of the brunt of it with me, right? And then we're in East Flatbush now, and that neighborhood is being gentrified as we speak. You know, it's literally trickling down, right? And we'll have moments where we're walking down Flatbush Ave, and you know what I'm saying, Jamaican lady would be like to Bry, like, hey, what's up, white girl? Like, you know what I mean? Like to Bry.
And Bry, what do you say?
Just say,
What's
hey.
up, black girl?
Yeah, no, I just say, hey.
Still the Wakanda song going, come on.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I don't know. I just treat people with respect. I think that's be genuine.
Yeah, it gets nuanced sometimes, especially within our community. You know, we'll be on a train together, you know, and it'll be a woman, a black woman, or like probably an older woman looks at me like I'm a sellout. You know what I mean? Or like, what are you doing? And sometimes it's difficult to navigate because it's like I have a mom, you know, then I have a sister, I got nieces. I've dated black women, and it's just like it's hard because I feel like we're at a time where we want to accept people for who they are, what they are, how they think, how they believe, and you still have situations and categories of things like this where like they're kind of like in line to other things. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm at a bar with Desmond, with my friend, and he's homosexual. He's with his boy.
His boy or his boyfriend?
His boy.
Okay.
And I'm in there with Bry, and I get like a dirty look like from some woman. You know what I'm saying? She looked like me. She looked like you, right? And I told Desmond, I'm like, you know, like it's a precarious situation where I'm in this gay bar and I'm accepting of y'all loving who y'all want to love, and like I feel like it's like, you know what I'm saying, like a finger pointed type of thing, and it's like
Still
like,
marginalized within
yeah.
marginalization itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it's like I'm black, you know what I'm saying? Like I go through the experience, like, you know what I'm saying? Shit don't like change, like on a Tuesday to a Wednesday. So.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to cut you off, but you know, they're wrapping us for time. So I want to get you all's answer to that question. And again, I'll repeat it in terms of the identity that you represent as a gay couple. What challenges have you experienced as a result of that, and how do you navigate that together?
I think we have this conversation because we have two different experiences where he's kind of said that he lived in the utopia of kind of like growing up and not having to come out the closet, and whereas I grew up very Caribbean, very religious, and I think in my personality I don't care based on my life experiences, so I kind of live my life without telling anyone anything, right? So it has made it hard in the past to have relationships or even understand how to be in a same-sex relationship, right? Because I've dated girls in the past and I've kind of transitioned out of that. And where I would be celebrated for dating girls and I wouldn't even say that I am gay. So there's not even an opportunity to be celebrated, but I know that I am not going to be. So it's very nuanced because who knows, maybe, right? And I think about 2 years ago, I didn't even say anything. I invited a group of friends to a household with someone I was dating, and they came and said, hey, they said I accept you. So if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have known that I was loved for just being who I am. So now, going through those experiences, I'm able to enter this relationship kind of free. You know, kind of free, right? Because still, I haven't had certain certain conversations, but I don't think I need to. I think I'm at peace with exactly who I am, and you know, we worked on a film together, which is very interesting, and we learned a lot about each other through this process. But the subject is about being a black gay man and the intersectionality of what that means. And through that film and the process of researching and kind of putting everything together, and I think it was done beautifully, it helped me through that process of being unapologetic.
All right, we don't have that much time left, but there are two questions that I have to ask, and only one couple will be able to answer each question. The first one is, what is something that you wish people would have told you before you got into a relationship? Like you're gonna go to college and you're like, oh, I wish they would have told me this.
What? Before you got into any relationship ever?
Not just Leroy, just period.
Just
Like something that you realize in the middle, you're like, wow, I wish I would have known this. And if you don't have an answer, you can gladly jump in.
I wish I would have known this.
Nothing.
I mean, I went into it knowing that I'm going to be surprised by a lot of shit. So like I didn't go into it like with a preconceived notion. Before I probably have, but in this particular situation I didn't. So learning was actually part of the process, which was beautiful.
Yeah, I think if I had spoken to a gay man or a black gay man before I had started doing it myself, just knowing the ins and outs of it a little bit, it just would have been, I think it would have made a lot of things much easier. Yeah.
5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 seconds. All right. They say thank you to our panelists. Please give them a round of applause. Stick with them around because we got a fun dating game for the couples as soon as we come back.
Baby, you want to do that thing you did yesterday?
You want me to do it now?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Hey. All right. Let's get... What the hell was that? No, stop! I'm not even in the mood no more. You play too much. Man, you think we should get this? What the hell are you doing? Stop! Stop!
Love. We all know the feeling, well, some of us, and there's nothing better than the feeling of finding someone who knows you inside and out and loves every inch of your being. So this segment is called Bay or Nay, where we have a couple face off and answer questions about their significant other in order to see who pays more attention to details. We didn't have them answer questions backstage. We're gonna have them do it live right now, so there's no pre-prep going on. They're gonna actually figure this out on the spot. Yeah? You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, this is Bay or Nay. So, first question, and I can't ask out the first question because I cheated. So, what is the first thing that Daniel would buy if he won the lottery?
Property.
Absolutely.
1 point. Oh, y'all peeking. What is Bry's favorite movie? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Boss baby.
3. Bry, what's your favorite movie?
I don't even know my favorite movie.
So you can't even give him those eyes. How you looking at him like you should know, and you don't even know?
I was looking like, I don't know.
Oh, okay, cool. So then you lost, but you know, y'all on good
Definitely not
terms.
Boss Baby, but.
All right. What is Justin's favorite song? Correction. I'll make it a little bit broader. What is his favorite artist? Who is his favorite artist?
Favorite artist?
Music artist.
John Legend.
Wow! See, these the poolside deep conversations that we're having. I'm not gonna go sit by the pool because seems like that's where you remember things. Other than yourself, rather, I'm looking at you. Other than you, who's the person that he talks to the most?
I think Desmond, his best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Desmond from the club, from the bar.
Desmond from the club.
Yeah, so I got 1 point. Yeah, you're losing because they're doing well over there.
We coming for y'all. We coming for y'all.
Telepath. All right. What would be Daniel's only thing that he would bring if he was stranded on an island?
Well, if they had power, he'd bring his computer.
Okay. Is that true?
Yeah, like some sort of computerized device, probably my cell phone because it has computer and Instagram. So.
All right. Now No. Oh, they're saying no. All right, so you don't get the point for that because technically he said computer and you said device. It's all right. Though.
I just think maybe he could work faster.
I know. It's rude.
Who's more likely to go walk up to some? What? Let me not ask that question. I'll save that. And I'll save it for Bry. Wait, did I ask you a question just now?
You asked me one last.
Okay, my bad. I'm sorry.
He's next.
For Bry, what is the one store that she'd spend all her time in? Crickets. Can we cue cricket sounds?
No, Bry's not really a shopper.
That's a fair answer. I was about to say.
I think that's fair. That's
Wait, I
do they
think
get
we
the
should
point?
ask the judges that one.
I'm
Judges?
an online
She's not really a
shopper.
shopper.
Is that a yes? Is that a no? Audience? Audience, no? Fair enough?
I didn't get the
All right.
point.
All
Okay,
right.
so I didn't have a favorite movie, and I don't shop.
We'll give you two more.
Half a point.
What is Justin's favorite meal?
Justin's favorite meal. Well, he loves to cook chili, so I would just say chili.
Justin, is this true?
No.
It's all the time.
Yeah, well, I thought it was your
That's
favorite because you
you're
always make
hungry
it.
and it's easy to make in a crock pot. It's not about me, that was about you. I love like soul food, like soul food, like fried food, things smothered
You
in
did
gravy.
talk about going to get chicken after the conversation,
Yes,
so.
smothered in
See, that was a
gravy,
clue.
It was a
macaroni
clue, yeah.
and cheese, yams, like just put your foot in it and let it, simmer for like 6 hours.
Okay. Damn. Giving me cooking tips. All right. How do I keep getting the order mixed up with you two? Bry. What is the one thing that Leroy hates the most, like his biggest pet peeve?
When people are unsure.
Yeah.
Uncertainty.
Uncertain.
Yeah.
Uncertainty?
Yeah, I don't like that.
That's like human nature, though.
He gets
Can't
really
really escape
irritated.
it.
It's like, come on, just make.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. No, I'm saying yes to you. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, but nah, I do not like uncertainty. Nah.
Daniel, if you and Justin got on a train together and you both got a seat and a woman walks on the train, there's no available seats, who would be the first person to get up? Sorry, I'm looking at you, but I believe I'm talking to you.
So, who would be the first? Justin.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like, hell no.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna look at you, hoping that you gotta get up.
But you know what? Daniel would give up his seat to me though too. So like.
So he would like switch, he'd
Yeah,
let you sit
he would
and then
let
get
me
up.
sit. Like I would get up, but he would still let me sit. So I guess I still get to sit down regardless.
So is this 3 for 2? Yeah? All right. So last question. Leroy. I'm hoping that you redeem yourself here. Who takes longer to get dressed?
Bry definitely takes way longer to get dressed. Way longer to get dressed.
I should have known that though.
I do.
All right. One more question. We have time for one more question. I'm gonna create this one in my head and just make this up and see if it'll work. All right. Justin, Daniel, standing in front of the kitchen. He opens the fridge. There's soda and there's juice. Which is he gonna grab first?
Daniel, he'll grab the juice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, damn, I'm sorry, y'all, but y'all lost. I knew y'all was gonna lose, though. All right. Listen, thank you to our panelists. I want to thank you guys for coming so much. Thank you for participating in the conversation, for playing the game, for being a good sport. I hope we didn't start any problems that you're going to talk about later on. Stick with Interact because we've got an interview all about dating when we come back.
I saw that earlier. I was like, oh, definitely like when I eat.
1, make a really funny joke about eating fried chicken every night. Or 2, tell them to stop exoticizing your relationship because I'm just a human woman like any other human woman. You can get fried chicken, I don't care. That is not what ashy means. Stop staring at my satin cap, okay? I wear it because I don't want my hair to go everywhere and look like a mess. I know you can't recognize when my hair looks a mess, but I don't want side-eye from the black people on the train. That's not what nappy means. Look, I'd like to watch The Help, or Django, or 12 Years a Slave with you, but if you're gonna make sex weird because of it, I don't want to, all right? I know you don't think slavery was cool, but if you could just talk to your white friends about your guilt instead of making me feel it, that'd be fine. You can never say the N-word, not even if it has an A on the end of it. Nod so I know you understand, because I'm not gonna tell you again. Thank you. You can tell me that you like Scandal because of the ensemble cast, but I know it's because you have Litz fantasies. You're seriously gonna ask me how it compares to a black guy's right now? You're serious, like you're really doing this. There we go.
Now, as you guys already know, I always have questions. So I wanted to invite one of my really, really, really old friends here to talk about not only her experience, but just a little bit more about the documentary she's been working on and also the dating experience of a woman of her background. Please welcome actress and model, Izana Vidal. Hey, dude. So I wanna give some backstory so that everyone understands how far back we go. I think you came to my high school in what grade?
Freshman year. It had to be freshman year.
Freshman year, so that was like
2011, 12? Like
seven, because I graduated in 11. So
oh,
it had to
shit.
be like
I'm sorry, I'm like,
7.
yeah, it's all the way
because
back.
Obama was president like sophomore year. And that's a point of reference. Now, when you first came to high school, you were not the woman that is sitting before me.
Correct.
Visually.
Indeed.
Can you explain that?
Well, I went through a lot of changes after I left high school. As you remember, like I went to high school pretty early. I was advanced 2 grades, so I ended up being like 13. Actually, I didn't come in freshman year. I think I came like sophomore, junior, around that period. But I don't really know what to say. I would say that like graduation and the period of me transitioning into my college period, like that was, for me, it was a time of like self-discovery, self-realization. Like that was a time of me really finding myself, whereas other students who would have been like able to have this necessary transition in like previous grades, I ended up getting advanced. So my transition took place like in college, whereas opposed to some students who would have went through like the whole maturity phase and like I want to say freshman, sophomore, junior year, that period.
But what was it that you were feeling? Like what is it, and I think the reason why I'm asking you this question is because I think it's hard for a lot of people to understand.
Right.
So as best as you can possibly word it, like what is it that you experienced that caused your transition or led to your transition to who you really were?
See, in a sense, like everyone is different, but in my experience, it took for me to like, when I went to college in freshman year, I started realizing that at some point, like I was uncomfortable with who I was at that present moment. I had questions about my identity and sexuality and just like everything that kind of comes about when you're making your transition to adulthood. I questioned that like during my high school years, but my period when I went to college was really the time for me to really sit back and reflect and understand like who is Izana. So during that period, I felt like the only way I can live my life comfortably is by transitioning, and then only after I knew it was possible, it took for me to meet like, which is also detailed in the film.
Which film?
Kiki.
Right.
It details my process and the stories of actually, I want to say like 4 or 5 other individuals. When it comes to like our paths to self-discovery and you know, understanding who we were and like each individual struggle that every individual faced as being part of a minority community, LGBTQ community, et cetera, et cetera. So
just to give you guys some background, first of all, Izana is very smart, like smarter than me, first and foremost. Secondly, the film that she's speaking about is a film called Kiki.
Yes.
And now the film Kiki is a film that I believe it was the modern day rendition to Paris is Burning.
In a sense.
In a sense.
Yeah.
So it details the stories, like you said, of 4 to 5, including yourself,
Yeah.
individuals through their own, whether it be transitions or just life as a person of the LGBT community. And the film got a lot of attention. It was in film festivals all over the country.
Like that.
How did the film come about? And then talk to us a little bit more about your storyline in the film.
Okay, well, in a sense, it was surreal. When I was approached to do the film, it was, my pre-stages prior to my transition, and I had just kind of found like the Kiki scene. I don't know if anyone else might be familiar with what it is.
What does the Kiki scene mean?
The Kiki scene, to kind of sum everything up, I would say it's a creative outlet that was founded by members of the LGBTQ community. It's been out since I'm going to say predates the 80s.
Okay.
However, it was developed as like a creative outlet for people, for underprivileged youth, and for anyone in the LGBTQ spectrum who felt as though they needed some means to express themselves, to find a family, to feel comfortable. That's that creative safe space. That's why it was developed. And it's fun. Like there's like all types of balls and events that take place within the Kiki scene. But I would say it's a close-knit community. That's how it was designed, to be a close-knit community for LGBTQ individuals who were ostracized by their own families, even by society as a whole. So. I would say it was surreal because I personally didn't expect things to blow up like that. But when I was approached to do the film, my thought process was that growing up, I knew what Paris is Burning was, and I loved the story, and I've always kind of been eclectic of like the 90s and stuff like that. So just like being able to see how people live their lives and the rebellious aspect of it and creative aspect of it and stories that I was able to relate to. I always wanted to be able to be that role model for other people, like other youth coming behind me, and the opportunity presented itself with Kiki. Initially I wasn't aware of transitions that would have taken place in my life in terms of my transition, and that's the beautiful thing about the film, because you kind of see in depth my thought process prior to my transition and in the middle, after. It's like you kind of see my growth in a sense. Basically, as a woman. So.
And all in one.
Yeah.
Now, today's episode is about dating, so we've been talking about the nuances of relationships and how do you navigate it, and something that I've always wondered when thinking about my fellow LGBTQ peers, and specifically speaking to the trans experience, is how do you, or rather, what's the thought process that you have, especially in the beginning stages of your transition, when you were thinking about, or rather when you were in the midst of making this transition, did you have any questions or doubts or concerns about, well, how do I even date in this new space that I'm in?
Right. Believe it or not, that's not something I really gave too much thought, because obviously, well, for me at that moment, it was me being comfortable, me making the decision to live my life comfortably, and to be able to walk outside and be happy.
You've always been bold, so I don't think
Thank you.
anything has been put past you to be a vocal person or someone who's going to stand up for what they believe in.
Dating-wise, there's a plethora of challenges that trans women face, even on a case-by-case basis or as a whole. And I feel like every experience is different, but personally, I feel like a very large part of dating, especially as a woman of trans experience, is mutual respect. Respect is paramount. And education, you have to educate the person you're with. Everyone is different, but I would like my partner to be educated about certain things and understand how to address certain situations, and
Okay, so this is a question from a space of ignorance from me.
Okay.
Do you feel that it is important to let someone know, first, second date, that I am a woman of a trans experience?
Okay, so this might be a little controversial because it's a very subjective topic. Everyone might feel differently. Some people might feel as though it's putting their life in danger if they do not disclose, but disclosing is a very big topic. Personally, I don't feel as though I have to disclose the path by which I've become a woman, unless I feel as though it's we're getting to a point where we're becoming more serious, because that can put my life in danger. And also in my experience, well, I am bisexual, so I like males and females, but relatively dating guys, people kind of treat you different when they don't understand certain things, and after you tell them something, they can't really wrap their head around. Right. So I'd rather if I do decide to disclose something like that, it will be later on. Well, that's just me.
So what is that conversation that happens between individuals of the trans experience, because like you said, everyone has a different perspective. Some people feel like I would never say that I'm a trans woman or trans man, or some people like yourself are like, yes, this is where I'm from. This is like how I came to be. This is who I am. Why is there this like conflict even within the community of itself between people who choose to identify in terms of disclosure and then those who don't?
Well, also it's largely due in part to views of society as a whole. I mean, everyone has a different take on things. I mean, personally speaking, I feel as though that right to disclose remains the right of the individual who would be disclosing and no one else's. I feel like at the end of the day, that's a very personal, that's a very strong topic, and to sit down and disclose that with somebody can put you in a position where you can be uncomfortable, or that person can take other measures that are
can
just
take your life, which has happened. We've seen it in the news.
And realistically speaking, there have been a lot of trans murders since, I want to say, I mean forever, but recently there've been a lot in the past 2 years. And I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure it's largely due to the fact that some girls decided to disclose at the wrong time, or, well, in my opinion, at the wrong time, or, well, I'm gonna backtrack. That's not for me to say, but in my opinion, I feel as though I wouldn't disclose because I feel like that can put my life in danger. But some girls choose to disclose early, and that can potentially put their lives in danger. And then also people react based upon how their peers judge certain situations. Certain people. We've been brought up in a very heteronormative society that operates on the binary. There's this or that. So anything that's in between is kind of misunderstood. So yeah. So regardless, I feel like, you can educate someone even, but simply because of the views of their family, they might react differently. So it's just, it opens up a whole realm of issues.
What do you say to the guy or girl who is dating you and they feel like they have the right to know, well, what's a relationship, dating, whatever I'm getting myself into? What do you have to say to someone who has that argument that I have the right to know? For myself, just as much as you have the right to not disclose for your safety.
I mean, I agree in some sense, but I feel as though, I don't feel as though I'm doing any wrong, but that's a personal bit of my, I feel like we live life on a daily basis of assumptions. So you assume when you walk past a person in the street that, they're not going to hit you in the head when you walk past them, whether or not we realize that.
Shit, depending on what neighborhood you're in.
Well, yeah, but I just feel like, that's my right, and I would argue that with them. I understand that they may feel as though that's something they should have known, but I feel like it's a different thing when I was, if I was to take it to the bedroom per se, and not disclose something like that to the individual, that's very dangerous. Assuming the individual was pre-op, but I mean, otherwise, pre-op meaning they haven't made the decision to go through with sexual reassignment surgery, which would be M to F,
right,
et cetera, et cetera. So, I don't.
No, I mean it's a very hard conversation.
That's a tricky conversation, but
it's something that I internally think about as I think through the people in my life that are from a trans experience.
Right.
Because I am on the outside looking in, right? And I can understand why you would not choose to disclose for safety, but I also understand the sentiment of the person that says I have the right to choose, the relationship that I enter into. And
well, this goes to say that we there are stages, so we don't necessarily have to be dating or in a relationship or claiming each other for me to I feel like when you get to a point where things are starting to get serious, that is something the other individual should know. Whether or not a girl decides not to disclose up until a further point is her choosing. It's not my place to say that she's wrong or right for that, but I mean, initial stages we're talking or getting to know each other, I don't feel like that's something that they need to know right away.
Okay.
Because at that point, I don't know whether we're going somewhere or we're going
not. Whether
nowhere.
you even deserve this piece of personal information.
Exactly.
Okay.
Information
Last question,
is very valuable.
And we've got 2 minutes. What has been the most challenging thing in your, from the moment that you left high school to current day, you sitting right here on this chair, what has been the most challenging part of your trans experience?
That's a good question.
Or even or something that's challenging literally right in this moment that you're currently trying to think through.
When I in my initial stage, in the first beginning stage of my transition, I met a girl. I do not remember her name, but she was trans, and I met her at a bar, and you know, long story short, she ended up like disclosing certain things to me, like on a very personal note. I guess it's one of those like, you know, kind of. We had a few drinks, you know, kind of just chatting, and she was trans, and she told me like she was like, you're very beautiful, but I want you to understand that this is one of the hardest lives to live. And for someone that's just making the decision, from the outside looking in, I mean, I seem like that, but you know, some people have all types of opinions, like, oh, you transition for this reason, or you want to trick this person, or whatever, all the ignorant like opinions that come about. From the outside looking in, a person may not understand that the decision is only being made for the purpose of being comfortable and being happy and has to become who you are. But the thing she said to me was that this is one of the hardest lives to live, and growing up and understanding that that's kind of true in the sense that like I'm not sure if being trans is something that will ever fully be understood by society, and there's so many like gray areas and everyone has an opinion, and being as though society is so like cemented in the idea of the binary, where I feel like we're in a sense always going to be misunderstood. I feel like we can move towards education and advocacy for the lives of other trans women, for our rights, for healthcare, a plethora of issues that we face. But I feel like, in a sense, it's going to be a very long road. I just feel like we're commonly misunderstood.
You made me think of something that I wasn't going to ask you, but now I want to ask: what challenges do you face from a governmental, like, you know what I mean? Like, Black Americans have systematic things that they suffer from within this country. What do you suffer from as a trans woman, as a trans millennial woman in this country?
I mean, to put it simply, like, being Black is a struggle, being a woman is a struggle, being trans is another struggle added. Like, I'm grateful that I am blessed with like passability and being able to have the option to disclose to people whether or not I am trans, but some women don't have that ability. And people, I mean, foremost at the front of many things that a lot of trans women face, I would say violence. Like, you know, some girls fear for their lives walking outside because they're misunderstood. So.
That was heavy.
Yeah.
That was heavy. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for sharing your
Thank
story.
you for having me.
Please give her a round of applause. On that note, we have a very, very special performance coming up by JayHam. Make sure you come back to interact, because we'll be right back after this break.
Oh my God, here we go again. What now?
You know, man, I'm just tired, man. I'm tired of you. You know what? I'm just tired of everything, man. Forget all that. You know, man, I want you out my house, man. Get out my house.
Your house. Nigga, this is my house. You get out.
Oh! Okay. You know what? Cool. Just gonna shake to my mom's house in my whip. I'm out.
Man, put my keys down. You ain't even got no car.
Let's go. You know what? I don't need your car. Because I know what I do got. My son. Uh-huh. You know what? It's all loving I need right here, boo. See you in court.
That ain't even your baby.
You're not even my daddy. Oh! God! That little boy's the goddamn devil. God! You know what? I don't need this. I'm gonna stay at my boy Steven's house. You know what? Where he got all the bad bitches at. And we gonna get it jumping in there. Ha! Yo, what up, Steve? Hey man, I need a place to stay, man. She tripping again. Yeah, man, just over some. Man, she tripping. Look, I'm gonna come to your house, man. I'm about to bring all my stuff over. You already know how we get down. You already know how we used to do, baby. We finna get that bug jumping. Yeah.
Sorry, bro. I'm married now.
Steven, what do you mean you're married? Huh? Like I said, my boy's back to stay at his spot. Seems like I ain't gonna need you after all.
They always come back.
Remember. Give it up. Yes. Yeah? Y'all like him that much? Yeah. Nah, I'm just kidding. Listen, we have a great performance coming up straight from Long Island. JayHam, what's good with you, man? Good, you ready?
Yeah, man, I'm ready.
Show them what you got.
What's going on, everybody? I go by the name of JayHam from Long Island. Let's get into it. There it go, there it go. About to drop now, better box out, act up, bring the block out, we in this thing. Leave you headless, let it drop out, we gon' pop out, jump in, need some big rings, better stop now, better watch now, take a real good look, man, you nigga not the same, getting guap now, while you clock out, me and you can't talk now, nigga get about my fame. Who am I, JayHam, that's me, nigga, where you been, LA, where the trees bigger, bad bitch, Skywalker with the slim figure, where we at, no boo, that's where we eat dinner, my chick bad, real bad, cause I'm wasting her, got them all mad, to see your face, nigga, I kill them all, yeah, murder was the case, don't worry about me, why, homie, I'm straight, cause the team been on these dudes, it's just late, get an L for loser and an F for fake, I get an A for act out and a G for great, I got beers to stack up, no time to waste, like Twitter they follow, so I lead the way, and I pack the Louis and I'm on my way, I leave from NY, now we MIA, they like, where you been, I'm like, MIA, look, let me go and talk my shit, wait, let me go and talk my shit, hey, let me go and talk my shit. Wait, let me go and talk my. Cause I got plans to be the man, big plans. We gonna turn it up, we gonna switch it up to something different. It's called plans to be the man. Feel free to clap too if y'all want. And I'm surrounded by go-getters, a couple of faux niggas. Section full of bottles, VIP full of gold diggers. Couple random dudes trying to act like they know niggas. Took a different path, keep your eyes on the road, nigga. Making power moves, now they all wanna roll with us. But this here is a coup, only one hoe can roll with us. Enough small talk, cause this picture's a little bigger. Flow a little sicker, got no time to bicker about this and that and that and that and this. Got plans to stack these bands, go get the chips. They pass, I shoot, I score, I never miss. But main the jeans, they compliment the fit. I hit the plug, he told me that it's lit. I roll up the golf, I got it right out the zip. That money keep calling, I love her, yeah, that's my bitch. I'm going to get it, I'm with my team, yeah, we lit. Taking trips to places you never been before. Only dealing with bad bitches or centerfolds. I leave them all heartless like December cold. And I'm a dog in the booth, that's where the kennel go. What? So you can watch me hate it and wanna go and steal flows. You can thank me later. I asked shorty when she linking like navigator. I said, let me get in between and navigate tonight. Cause I got plans to be the man. I got plans to get rich. I got plans to have it all. I got plans to be lit. Take it from me and that's it, no. Hey, 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 take it from me and that's it, no. Reservation at small dinners, table with boss niggas, plotting on master plans while I dip in my sauce, nigga. Talking a couple mil, we can get to them all, nigga. Look at these suckers' faces, they be watching, they all bitter. At the top of the world, bet I won't ever fall, nigga. Tall nigga, dreams of just winning, I'm a ball, nigga. Cause feeling like Rusty, I'm going straight to the rack. They act like they know me, but they don't know me, that's a fact. Y'all wait on the line, my niggas get in the back. The owners, they love us, they tell us please come back. Shallow and Cali took a flight right to Lax. Ain't talking lacrosse when I say we on attack. Now I'm back to New York, rather far toe in the pack. Yeah, I get in my zone, go and load up the track. True, these rappers for lunchtime, it's crunch time. I been eating, these dudes still on the lunch line. I got them shaking their head like every punchline. I'm young, fly, and humble, and yeah, I'm about mine. So watch while I switch it up, I mix it up. Them bitches wanna get with us. All these Converse niggas, all they do is chuck. I go put them in a submission, they give it up because cause I got plans to be the man. I got plans to get rich. I got plans to have it all. I got plans to be lit. Take it from me and that's it, no. Hey, 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 take it from me and that's it, no. Yeah, yeah. I go by the name of JayHam. Make sure you follow me on Instagram.
Give it up, 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 give it up. All right. So, what can we expect from you next? What's going on?
Well, right now I'm in the mix of working on a couple of projects. Just new music, new visuals. You can look out for a song right now. I got my boy Stacks called Loop, about to drop, and also Steve
Loop
Nash.
or Luke?
In the Loop and Steve
In the Loop.
Nash.
Okay.
So those are two that you can be on the lookout for. And my single this summer called New Flavor. And also you can follow my new music, SoundCloud.com.
Don't leave me hanging, bro. Don't leave me hanging. Listen. Make sure y'all follow him at J.Ham on Instagram, Twitter, social, SoundCloud, all of that. Everything J.Ham. Listen, that's the end of our show. If there's one thing I learned tonight is that no relationship is the same. Everything doesn't work for every person. You really got to figure out and navigate between what exactly works for your relationship and how you can make the most healthiest, positive relationship possible. Listen, I love you guys for watching. Make sure you come back next week to watch Interact. Thank you so much. I had to freestyle that whole shit 'cause they-